Yo, check out my website, www.theklowntimes.net. That's clown spelled with K, as you see here. As you see, here are my rants here. I'll be more and more regular in posting rants in the future. You see what I have going on here. Also, you can also get your merch here at www.cafepress.com. Search for the Klown Times Sports. You see here I have sweatshirts, hoodies, baby gear, mugs, t-shirts. So just come on over and grab yourself some merch. Welcome to tonight's, it's been a long damn time edition of the Klown Podcast. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm close to 660 subscribers, so I want to push that bad boy over 1,000. We'll throw a ticker tape parade around my house. But anyway, please see like, comment, share, subscribe. Even if you do not agree with what I or my guest has to say, just holler back anyway, because in any event, you will be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. And last but not least, check me out on Facebook as well. Just type in the Klown Times. It's Klown spelled with K. You find me there as well. All right. As you can tell by my man's hat and his attire, we're going to talk about the sale, the impending sale of this beloved Washington Commanders football team. So y'all know who this brother is, but you're going to see a whole new side of him tonight, in case you hadn't known. But anyway, check him out on the yards, that's HBCU Sports, where he raps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live and YouTube. And last but not least, check out his great work on HeroSports.com, as he talks about all things FCS athletics as they pertain to HBCU sports. Duane Nash is back in the house. What's good, sir?
Man, Scott, I am doing wonderful. Especially when we're talking about what's going on with the Commanders. For those who have, of course, watched the show since its inception, there are two things. Well, if you want to talk about hierarchy of things that I love, God, real close second is family.
Right.
Just under that, it's a nice little fight between North Carolina A&T and the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are there because of longevity, most definitely, right. And A&T is there because of the time I spent there and the money I've also spent there. So right. They're butting right there under family. And then, of course, for those who watch and keep up with the NFL, they've seen the demise of my favorite team over the past 25 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And now there's a pending sale. Oh, my God. This ownership is... Ooh, you talk about the rocky road over the past 25 years? Oh, my God.
Man. Yo, check this out, man. For those of y'all who don't know, and for those of you who are in our friend group, I call it friend group, but we have like a sports group on Facebook where it's mostly us A&T alums who are sports lovers. The WS report, check us out. When news, I'm going to take it further back. Okay, I'm going to take it further back. First of all, for those of you, first of all, we all know that Josh Harris, billionaire, I think he owns the New Jersey Devils.
New Jersey Devils, the 76ers.
That's right, yep.
Part of the Steelers. I forget the name of the soccer team he has ownership of. So he most definitely has his hands within sports ownership and has an understanding of running pro teams. So
yeah. And his rumored, well, not rumored, but it's reported sale. Well, it's not official yet, right? But its price tag is valued at $6.05 billion with a B dollars to purchase your beloved Washington Commanders from the evil clutches, the decrepit clutches of Dan, aka Danny Boy Snyder. Okay. Now I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna go back to where I was to begin with.
Okay.
There was a time on Facebook, our Facebook group, where this brother to my left when the rumors of Snyder putting the team up for sale, this man said, and I quote, "I'm feeling aroused." I'm like, what the hell? So downtrodden by his beloved Washington football team, or as my brother-in-law, who's your fellow Maryland guy, and who's a former DC resident, and fellow Washington football fan for many years of his life. He coined the phrase Washington team football with the acronyms WTF.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, he's done that.
Yeah.
And for guys like y'all, things have been so downtrodden over the last 25 years. Y'all think Cowboys fans have it bad for not winning the chip in over 25 years? Try being a Washington Commanders fan, right?
For whatever reason, that is oblivious to them. The fact that they have 5 Super Bowl rings is all that matters. Forget about the fact that the day in which they won their last Super Bowl championship, the #1 song in the country was "One Sweet Day" by Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey.
Wow.
No one wants to remember that. No. Oh, but we got 5 Super Bowl rings, though. Them titles, though. Them rings, though. Though that last ring is old enough to drink and fight in a war right now.
And it's also old enough to rent a car.
It's old enough to rent a car and not have any issues if it has a credit card. Stop talking to me about these Super Bowl rings, though, when your team hasn't been playoff relevant in over 25 years. You can point and laugh at my Commanders all you want. Yes, they have been, of course, very inept. Yes, they have. And yes, their last Super Bowl run is January of 1992. Yes, because I was in high school then.
Right.
But your last Super Bowl win ain't much younger, bruh. I'm gonna need y'all to calm down.
We were both in college.
We were both in college.
That's how long ago it was. And I'm almost 50 years old. That's how long ago it was.
As am I. We were both in college.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
There are Cowboy fans right now who have never witnessed a Super Bowl championship. And if they are old enough, they've only witnessed 4 playoff wins. If they're 25 years old, they've only witnessed 4 playoff wins. But let me get off my soapbox of talking about Cowboy fans because, you know, the fact that there's so many Cowboy fans here in the DC area. That's the one thing that they like to do is attempt to rile us up.
Mm-hmm.
But they tend to discover quickly that, you know, one, I'm bulletproof. And I have the ammunition to come back at you. Right. And I'm like John Wick with it. I don't care. You came out here, you killed my dog, son. You killed my dog. So now I gotta do what I gotta do at this point.
Hey, no spoilers, but I gotta see. I hadn't seen the 4th one yet. No spoilers,
I haven't
but I gotta
either.
see the 4th one. Okay,
I haven't either. That's why I came with the John Wick 1 reference. Had I seen in 2, 3, or 4, I would have come with the newer John Wick reference. Yeah. But either way.
Yes. I've seen 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, all that overdone. That's why you say never. There's 3 things you don't mess with. A man's money, no particular order. A man's money, a man's woman, and a man's dog. You never don't mess with either of those 3. That's the story. That's the story and lesson of John Wick. But to get back to what we're saying.
Yeah, but let me get back grounded. We're talking about the Commanders here. Look at me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. When I tell you.
So excited that you were around.
I didn't know what quote you were going to come up with. I completely forgot I said that. But no, now that you brought it back up, you're absolutely right. I am. And there's a meme that someone sent me around that time that also sums all of this up. That says, "Oh wow, I'm about to calm," and there's a photo of what appears to be a young lady getting serviced by someone wearing a Commander's hat cocked to the side. And that is exactly how I feel right now with this conversation about Josh Harris and the sale. And oh my God, we're literally we're closer to having this organization no longer being in the grasp of one Jordan Belfort, aka Daniel Snyder, right now. Now, I understand that there's a lot of steps and processes that we need to go through and need to be approved. Thankfully, Harris has gone through the vetting process when he attempted to purchase the Denver Broncos. So hopefully this gets sped up a little bit faster. But just know, there is already conversations of a parade happening in DC once this goes down officially, so we can celebrate. We're inviting all the go-go bands to come through, all the old school Redskins and WTFers to come through and celebrate with us as it'll be like the end of the Wiz once Eveline is dead, and it's like, yo, can you feel a brand new day? I just might be out there shirtless with a little.
Not a brand new day reference, not the Wiz reference, a brand new.
I love the Wiz. I love the Wiz. So for those who have seen the Wiz and know this reference, I'm about to be like the dudes at the end with the little wrap around my crotch. This boy's gonna have the big W on the front, and I'm gonna be doing flips down East Capitol Street on the way to what used to be, well, what still is RFK, which they're about to tear down now. Right. But I will say this, with this sale to Harris and with Magic Johnson being in this group.
That's right. There's another one.
We're just one step closer to having Commanders football back on that RFK site. They've been dragging their feet for the longest on what they were going to do with that site, and I truly believe that they were doing so because they were waiting for a potential sale of that team before they made a move. Now we're getting closer, and no one likes Daniel Snyder because Snyder doesn't like anyone, right?
Right.
But who hates Magic Johnson?
Correct.
Who hates Magic Johnson?
I you know me, I grew up a Knicks fan. I've been a fan of NBA obviously since the 80s, where guys of a certain age are old enough to remember those battles in the 80s.
Yes.
And I grew up hating the Lakers, but I love Magic Johnson. He's my GOAT, as a matter of fact. He's my GOAT. Yeah. So even as a Knicks fan who grew up hating the Lakers, you couldn't hate Magic. Even Celtics fans don't hate Magic.
No.
They can't hate Magic.
No. So, even with all of his infidelities, his wife doesn't hate him. So who hates Magic Johnson? Maybe the person who created AIDS. Maybe he hates it because Magic beat it. There's just who hates Magic Johnson though? And then having the opportunity, and I understand that was a bad joke. I saw it completely missed, but that's okay. We're moving on. Who hates Magic? Who is not willing, or who doesn't want to have a photo op with Magic Johnson while talking about doing things to improve morale here within the DC area? My God.
That would be awesome. And you know what else, man? That would increase the amount of bets fans are willing to put on the Washington Commanders in years to come, and they could do so through betus.com. So check out my sports. You know how I did that, right? So let's go sports bet. I slid it in there. So listen to sports bettors. Your favorite sports book, betus.com, is back for their 28th year of NFL action, now 29th year of NFL action. So with the industry's biggest sign bonus up to 200%, BetUS offers their members the opportunity to cash into all their favorite sports, including the NFL, UFC, and MLB. And also, for folks out there looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props, and parlays, they have them as well. And how about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service? They have that too. So log into betus.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. You can use the promo code, TKT for the Klown Times as well. BetUS.com. when the game begins. All right, let's get back to Danny Boy stuff.
Yes.
So, for those who don't know, this man grew up a fan of the team. He's from the area.
Mm-hmm.
He's a native, so he bleeds burgundy and gold. To be fair, I will point that out. It's one of those things that I believe where it could be a combination of a fanboy going wrong. Ever since the beginning, the way he did, what's his name, North Turner, left him out to dry.
Mm-hmm.
On the first or second year underneath his tutelage, instead of just coming correct and just relieve him of his duties, just let him twist or win like that. Well, that was totally wrong. With his family in tow, by the way, that was totally wrong. The way he handled Joe Gibbs' return was totally wrong. He ran Joe Gibbs off. He ran him off.
It was a combination of a lot of things with Joe Gibbs, right? Okay. So, even though Danny wasn't necessarily externally negative towards Joe most definitely saw it towards everyone else. Mm. And you have that along with the stress of dealing with Sean Taylor's murder. Mm. It was a lot on Joe, and Joe had to leave. But you forget about what's your boy's name? Used to be the head coach with the Chiefs, Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Fired him after only one season. It made him respectable, 8-8.
They started the season 0-5 and they won 5 straight, and they went 8-8, and he let them go because, of course, Marty isn't the guy who will fall in line with Daniel Snyder. He's not that dude.
He's his own guy. He's his own man.
Yes,
you're right.
And that was the issue with Daniel Snyder, was that he hired a lot of lackeys. And if it became evident, that you weren't going to fall in line and be his buddy, or be his yes man, it was time for you to go. And there were a lot of great players, great coaches that were excused from this organization, and they brought in a ton of bad players and coaches into this organization. My God, the Jim Zorn hiring, the Shanahan hiring, even though Shanny tried to turn things around, the drafting of RG3, even though he did bring excitement for a year, that was
forced upon him. I remember that was forced upon him, because you remember Mike Shanahan, liked Kirk Cousins more than he did Robert Griffin III. He was Cousins was supposed to be his guy.
Yeah,
they ended up drafting the 4th round anyway. But
no, Cousins wasn't his guy. You know who his guy was?
Oh, who was his guy?
Russell Wilson.
Oh,
Russell Wilson was his guy. Okay. He was looking to draft Wilson in the 3rd round, but the Seahawks had a pick before them. Even though they went ahead and got your boy out of Green Bay, the QB, who was backing up Brett Favre, only to
Mark Brunell?
Not Brunell. He wasn't backing up Favre. He was backing up was he backing up Rodgers then? I can't remember what his name is.
So they had so many quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they brought him in as the heir apparent to Hasselbeck. Okay. But Russell Wilson beat him out during preseason.
Right.
And ended up taking the spot and being the starter up until his departure a few seasons ago. Right. But yeah, even with that, God, it's just been you talk about the front office inept actions. You talk about the ineptitude on the field. You talk about the stuff where he sued fans off the field. And I was excited about him taking over the team when he first bought the team, because I'm like, oh my God, he's a fan just like me.
Yeah.
This is kind of like me running a team.
Right.
Until
Yeah.
he started making moves, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
And then it became more and more apparent that he was making decisions and trying to follow in the footsteps of one Jerry Jones. And the fact that it's only worked once for Jerry, that's who you want to follow, bruh?
And remember, Jerry Jones followed, remember, Al Davis.
Yeah, but at
He was
least
Al Davis's protege. He was a protege of Al Davis.
But Davis got him at least two, right? He got him at least two. So
he got three. I think he got three. He has three.
Oh wow! So
he has three.
There you go,
because
right?
he beat
you have it.
the Super Bowl in the '70s over the Vikings.
Uh-huh.
Beat down the Dolphins, and he beat down the no, not the Dolphins. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about another thing. He beat down the Eagles. He beat the Eagles.
The Vikings, the Eagles, and then Washington. So that's the three. You're right.
I'm thinking
right.
about, I don't know.
You're right. So yeah, oh God. If we had a longer show, we could talk about all of his ineptitude and everything he's done wrong
right
during the past 24, 25 years, but we don't. All I know is when it first came out that it was more and more possible that he could be selling the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I became aroused. And now everyone's starting to celebrate because we're getting closer. And I keep telling people, whoa, don't bust that nut just yet, because it's not a done deal. And the reason why I say that is because there's still other steps that need to go, that the Harris Group needs to go through in order for the sale to become official. They went ahead and had the agreement with Snyder. Now they went ahead and sent the paperwork to the league. Now the league and the owners have to approve everything, and then whatever other steps that need to happen after that, and then it finally officially becomes it finally officially becomes a sale. But again, I am aroused because at least at this point, I see this chick undressing, and I like what I see. And she's starting to let me rub up on her. My God, it's about to go down.
Oh man!
Thank you. And this dude, he's nowhere around to be seen. He's somewhere in Europe, in the ocean, in whatever, chilling again, like your boy Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street, trying to hide out from Congress from these allegations that he's facing. And hey, I'm as excited as I am, because it's someone that's not, one, Daniel Snyder, and two, there was, oh my God, some far-fetched notion that Michael Jordan could be making a push for the team as well. And after seeing what he's done, one, with the Charlotte Hornets, and two, his time here in DC with the Wizards, I don't want that Bama.
You want them kind of problems. You want those kind of problems, exactly.
I don't want that Bama here either. So, I'm just, again, waiting to see, just waiting for this process to go through so I can fully celebrate.
Now, you alluded to earlier about like the RFK Stadium site, the old RFK Stadium. I've been hearing that they want to bring the team back to the district. And I would love to see that happen. They don't need to be way off in Maryland. They sure as hell don't need to be in Virginia. They need to be in the district where they belong. Back when we were growing up. Or that old ass decrepit RFK Stadium near, what was it? What's the part of town again? The part of DC, that Capitol.
Well, technically now it's considered to be Capitol Hill.
That's not, that can't be Capitol Hill. That's like east of that. That's east, man. That's like by East Market. That's East Market. That's by East Market. That's more of an East Market area.
Scott, when I'm telling you, that's what they call it now. That's what they call it now.
How the hell did they, I'm not yelling at you, obviously, but how the hell did they call that shit Capitol Hill? Do they not know their geography?
You know what? Because it's real estate
Eastern
purposes.
Market. Kiss my ass. That's Eastern Market.
Well, it's not even Eastern Market. If you want to be realistic about it, to me,
that's more of that than the Capitol Hill. But
you're right? So to me, being a brother who lived on 11th Street, with Eastern Market technically stopping on 8th.
Yeah.
You're asking an old school dude? To me, Eastern Market stops at 9th.
Okay.
And then you start talking about whatever you want to call that area after that, and then of course you're over the river at that point. But
right.
Yeah, they were because of real estate, they were referring to it at one point in time as Capitol Hill.
That's bullshit. That's not Capitol Hill. You and I know
just like they were referring to the section of Landover near where actually where FedEx Stadium is as East Hyattsville. I'm sorry. So for a brother like me, again, DC native, I'm right there near the DC PG County border, near Chillum area and all that. Chillum is right there next to Hyattsville.
Right.
Because they refer to that as East Hyattsville, they now call what I grew up as knowing as Hyattsville West Hyattsville. But somehow, someway, you skip over Landover and all of those other cities for it to call East and West High. What? What? Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous. Dude. That's ridiculous.
That's a whole nother show, Scott, in terms of renaming regions and neighborhoods, not only in DC but outside of DC too, for the sake of real estate. It sickens me to my heart. But to your point, again, like I said, no one likes Daniel Snyder. And when the original conversation about the sale of the team, not the sale of the team, of the team looking for a new stadium started to come up.
Yeah. Because
the original lease on FedEx is coming to an end, I believe, in 2027, 26 or 27. It's coming up in a few years. So something has to be done, and something has to be done soon. So my guess is, as soon as this team is purchased, the first thing that they're going to have to do is establish where they're going to move the team and when, and no, again, people.
Let's touch on that for a minute. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I was going to ask you. I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you what the top priorities are of the new ownership when the official goes down. There's a write-up on ESPN.com by John Kim. Shout out to him about that. He lists a lot of things, including front office, everything else. But you're saying the top of the list has to be, where in the hell is this team going to be playing?
It has to be. Again, the lease, just check. The lease comes up in 2027.
Right.
And that means you're talking 4 years or less to build a new stadium. So that means you have to find the spot, they have the agreement and all this blah, blah, blah. And with all of the negative press that Daniel Snyder has generated, first with the name, before the name change, and how he was very prominent about how he didn't want to change the name. DC officials didn't want any parts of him. And then, of course, with the allegations with him, how he treated his staff, and especially the women that worked for him. Right. No one in Maryland or Virginia wanted to check for him either, right? So it was all about trying to figure out where the stadium was going to go, and no one had any ideas. But now I believe this sale is most definitely going to expedite that. And then again, additionally, with again Magic Johnson being on that ownership group, it only makes it that much better. So I guarantee you, the politicians that are going to be at that press conference when they announce this new ownership is going to be entertaining, because I know it's going to become a bidding war on who has this team now.
Yeah. I could imagine. Now, I'll say this: if you're the front office, right? If you are the coaching staff, like, who should be the most worried? Because I would assume that the other employees, like the admins, the call it, the ops people, one would think that they would be safe. But the football people,
Yeah.
what do you think will happen to them? Like, are there going to be heads to like whose heads more likely to roll? Would it be the brother man who's like the I forget his name, who is the Jason somebody, who is the president of football ops, or would it be Riverboat Ron Rivera? Who you think?
It might be Rivera more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because his contract is coming up too, and it'll be up at the end of the year.
Oh wow, that's quick.
If memory serves me correctly, I believe his contract is, because what does this be? This will be, I believe, it was a 4-year deal with an option for a 5th. And if that is true, this upcoming year will be like a lame duck year for him, and it'll most definitely have to be a season where he has to produce in order to decide whether or not the new ownership is going to be willing to keep him or not. But yeah, that is most definitely job number 2, is to decide who's going to be the new head coach in this team.
Yeah, I hear you. So, if you're a betting man, I'll say this before we get to the last thing we'll ask you. It made me think when you talk about who's going to claim ownership of the DMV of the Commanders. I think it's more likely scenario that your boys are going to end up back in the district where they belong. What say you?
I hope. And the thing is, there has to be some sort of turnaround first before there is a full buy-in from all of those that have left. Just because you have an ownership change doesn't necessarily mean that the fortunes of the organization is going to completely turn around.
Of course.
But of course, Daniel Snyder, not only being the owner of the team, is also the face of a lot of the downtrodden times over this past 20+ year run.
Right.
And a lot of people, of course, are going to be excited once he's removed.
Yeah.
But it's going to take for them to start winning before it just becomes what it once was.
Yeah, I got you. So basically, I could tell. Now, I do remember from the fan apathy the last few seasons, there was a huge apathy.
Yeah.
That he's gonna have his work cut out for him, and that's another middle finger to Danny Boy Snyder. But we'll get you out here on this, man. You mentioned Rivera being contract being up after the season. He's essentially a lame ducker right now. Would you, seeing that if you were him, seeing that there's going to be new ownership, albeit not official yet, but it's going to be. I mean, provided that unless something just totally craps out, the bottom just totally craps out. And I wouldn't put over Danny Boy Snyder to try some other shenanigans, but at any rate, would you be pushing the organization, seeing what you have at the quarterback position, to try to get more juice back into the team, back amongst the fan base that's been beaten down to hell for so long? What about the possibility of Lamar Jackson, pushing for getting Lamar Jackson down to the Potomac?
Right. That would be on the outside, right? Sounds sexy, but we've already had my discussions about how I feel about that deal and how I feel about Lamar coming to DC. And the only way that really works, in my opinion, is one, they would have to cut some guys in order to make room for him financially in order for that deal to happen. Two, they really have to do something to that turf in order to make him safe, make it safe for him to play there. For a guy that's been having knee issues, to play on a turf that has created a lot of knee issues is something that I don't want. But to talk about a young black QB in a market that's starving for QB leadership and has always been looking for QB leadership, my God, we just had a discussion on Sleazy Sports not too long ago about who was the best quarterback in franchise history for all of the NFL franchises. And when we got to Washington, it was kind of a head scratcher. It's like, who do we choose? Not necessarily Doug, because Doug had 1 year and he won in the Super Bowl. It was Super Bowl MVP that year, but he really didn't have any great years after that. Joe Theismann was a league MVP, but he, his career came up short in an era where they wasn't necessarily passing the ball a lot. And then is it Sonny Jurgensen? But Sonny, had a stint here and there. They're starving for a star QB here in DC. And if you can get you a young guy, especially if it's a black QB here in the district, it's still called Chocolate City, even though, the numbers bear different.
Yeah.
Again, another
Damn
conversation for another
gentrification
time.
beforehand.
Yeah, right. So if you can have that here in DC with new ownership, potentially a new head coach, all of that would be in line to draw more fans to this organization. But I still say, if you can go ahead and win, and that's one of the two ways in which you win in this league right now. You either win with a star QB,
right?
And we see a lot of that. And of course, throughout the playoffs, that's all we've really seen. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, with his big deal.
Yeah.
Or you could try the route which is garnered success, but rarely gets you a Super Bowl win, which is to go ahead and try to do it with, well, actually, no, that's actually how a lot of these teams have been doing it. These star QBs were guys who came in that were drafted by the organizations. They built around them originally, and they garnered their success there. They were able to develop those players surrounding the QB and were able to get rid of big money guys so they could finally give their QBs big money as well. And they're looking to do the same in DC with Sam Howell. Now, is Ron Rivera that guy? I don't believe so. Could it be Eric Bieniemy? Maybe. And there's a high possibility that this new ownership could be thinking that idea. That Bieniemy might be the guy. But to correct myself, Ron Rivera's contract is up in 2025. So that's why this 2024 season has been talked about so much, is because, they could most definitely get out of that deal a year early if he hasn't been producing. And this is a guy who really hasn't been producing either here in DC or in Carolina, with the exception of that 1 year with Cam.
Yeah.
So, it's that's most definitely job number 2 for this ownership group, is to figure out who your head coach is going to be. And then job number 3, of course, is to figure out who your QB of the future is going to be too. Is it a guy that's in-house, or is it going to have to be a situation where you have to go after a guy in free agency? And we'll just have to wait and see. But my fingers are also crossed, because there's a guy in Tennessee that has been making visits here in DC. Again, another black QB that has A&T ties, that we can somehow, some way, figure out a way to bring in Hooker to come here. I don't know, man. I might pull out that Wiz rap a little early and start doing spin kicks in the streets. If Hendon Hooker is the guy, it might be interesting to see whether or not to watch potentially him, if he comes, and Sam Howell battle it out. And if you can get success with that by building around him, that would be wonderful.
Where can people find your great work, bro? Or is it social media or online, where?
As always, you can find my great work also all forms of social media at The Yard HBCU. I know I've been a little slack on social media as of recently. Things are going to pick up very soon, of course, because we have media days coming up in July. There are HBCU guys in both the XFL and the USFL that have been producing. As a matter of fact, the best team in the XFL not only has a head coach that's an HBCU alum and coached at HBCUs. He
Mhm.
also has HBCU players playing for him as well.
Mhm.
So you can go ahead and follow me there at the Yard HBCU, all forms of social media. And then, of course, with HeroSports.com, we're about to get ready to start talking about the upcoming 2023 collegiate football year.
Awesome, awesome. Please check this brother out on his great works. His links will be in the description on this video on YouTube, so check his great work out there. So again, y'all, see the backdrop. Follow this brother at yardhbcu.com, HeroSports.com as well. And last but not least, Sleazy Radio 82 is now on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check that brother out.
This Tuesday, we're doing our mock NFL draft. So
Boom.
this Tuesday, check us out for that.
Boom, there it is, folks. So check them out there. So y'all, thank y'all for tuning in this podcast. I hope y'all have fun as much as I did. Please see support the channel, support Duane's great work as well. Till next time, y'all, take care. Peace out.